Today's drink is lotus leaf honeysuckle botanical drink in a juice box form. I have no idea what that means, but it seemed really interesting. The brand is called Mr. Sunshine, and everything else is not in English. Okay. It's kind of like just a very light tasting tea, like with a bit of a floral taste. Mainly like a honey taste though. I like it. Anyways, I spent the entire day today relearning how to 3D model. I learned the basics of 3D modeling a really long time ago, and it's never really interesting to learn it through beginner kinds of tutorials. I think especially because you're kind of modeling something from nothing. Like most of those tutorials, they're just kind of sculpting like say a chair or a robot or a monster, and they're building that thing just out of nothing. So as you're following along, they're just like, okay, now we're gonna make a circle, we're gonna attach a little joint here and there, and you're just sort of following them make this thing, and you don't really know where it's going. And since it's not trying to replicate anything, obviously it doesn't need to be perfectly how they made it. And I don't know, that process to me has always felt really tedious because you were trying to get it close to how they were doing because you didn't really know which parts of the process were super essential to be exactly the same as them and which parts were them just improvising and you could improvise in your own way, because like we're never making something that I wanted to make, so it just didn't make much sense to be making it out of nothing. I guess in contrast though, like today I was modeling something very specific. I was modeling this chair that has this very iconic kind of like wired back, and obviously I can't find a model on the internet that's exactly like the one I wanted to make. So I did kind of use reference images and try and get it as close as possible to the real thing, and learned how to kind of model each piece along the way. And it's just so much more satisfying being able to have an end product at the end that's like, wow, that looks just like this thing I know in real life, and I've recreated it in 3D using shapes. It's a really cool feeling, and it gets you excited about 3D modeling. Whereas just learning to 3D model through most beginner 3D modeling tutorials, I don't know, it just, at the end of it, it's just like, okay, cool, I've completed it, and I guess I know a bit more about how to model things, but there's nothing you can do with that end product, and I think that is what always turned me off about learning 3D modeling. It sucks to just do all the beginner courses, but yeah, so that's kind of where I've been going lately, is just having ideas in my head that I want to make, and then just going and trying to figure out how to make that thing specifically, instead of doing a bunch of courses just to learn and then being able to apply the things I learned to make the thing that I want to make eventually. And a little bit of that is obviously my need for some kind of instant gratification, but why not be able to just create the ideas I have without spending the time in advance just making other random stuff that I'm never going to look at again. So yeah, I guess that's the lesson of today, is just if you want to make something but you don't know how to do it at all, like you've never even touched 3D software, just try and make it. Like think of maybe tutorials that would show you how to do things that are relatively similar, but don't do the tutorial like they're doing it. Just apply the technique to creating the thing that you want to make, and it can become a lot more fun a lot quicker. So that's the tip of the day. Thank you.